In a breaking incident near the Dead Sea, 6 individuals ventured into a restricted and mined military zone near the Dead Sea factories. One of the group members fell unconscious under meanwhile unknown circumstances. Prompt action emerged as rescue teams from both the police and the army intervened, employing helicopters from Unit 669 to secure their safe extraction from the scene. Tragically, the individual who lost consciousness, identified as a foreign national, was unable to be revived and was pronounced dead due to dehydration. This incident occurred at the location named the Secret Creek, and within the rescued group were 2 Israelis who received immediate medical attention from MARA teams. Complicating matters further, the area from which the group was rescued has been recognized as a hotspot for smuggling routes originating in Jordan. Authorities are actively investigating the motives behind the group's presence at the location.
Experience the power of truth with ILTV News. If you're looking for quality content and captivating visuals, join our news community and become an integral part of our team as we embark on a mission to unveil the real Israel, dismantling the web of lies and misinformation that surround reporting on Israel. By subscribing to ILTV News, you will not only have access to the latest updates, but you will also amplify our message, creating a ripple effect that carries the truth far and wide. Subscribe today and help reshape the narrative. Available on the web, Android, and Apple.
Is Israel misreading the situation when it comes to normalization with Saudi Arabia? There is much anticipation of a peace deal between the two countries, but now U.S. officials saying Israel is misreading the situation if it thinks it won't have to make significant concessions to the Palestinians. And ILTV's William Sharon has more.
The Biden administration told the Israeli government last week that it would have to make significant concessions to the Palestinians as part of a possible mega deal with Saudi Arabia that includes normalizations between the kingdom and Israel, according to the news site Axios. The report cited 4 U.S. officials and a source briefed on the issue. According to the report, Israeli Minister of Strategic Affairs Ron Dermer visited Washington last week for talks at the White House and State Department over the deal. While there, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken told Dermer that the Israeli government is misreading the situation if it thinks it won't have to make concessions to the Palestinians. Officials claim that Blinken also said that Saudi Arabia will need to show the Arab and Muslim world that it got a significant deliverables from Israel regarding the Palestinians in return for a normalization agreement. Yet, according to the report, Dermer was not forthcoming about possible Israeli concessions, saying instead that Israel's concession is that it's ready to accept civilian nuclear program in Saudi Arabia. Reaching a deal that includes Saudi-Israel peace agreement will be a historic foreign policy achievement, and as such, the Biden administration is pushing for a deal before the upcoming U.S. elections. The report also cited 3 current and former U.S. officials who said that Netanyahu could be invited to the White House for a meeting with Biden in September, and that the meeting will likely focus on Israeli concessions to the Palestinians. The Biden administration hasn't confirmed if or when a White House meeting between Biden and Netanyahu will take place.
And joining us now with more on the prospects for Israel-Saudi normalization and the expansion of the Abraham Accords is reporter and analyst Amin Ayoub. Amin, so really is Israel misreading the situation? You know, many senior Israeli officials have dismissed claims that Israel will have to make concessions to the Palestinians, but now really it seems that it's not the case.
Well, the media reports have been not clear lately. There were too many media reports, but nothing actually came from the Saudis or the Israelis. The Israelis, of course, they're going to be worried about a deal with Saudi Arabia, because as you know, Saudi Arabia is actually sees itself as a protector of holy sites for Muslims. And of course, this deal will bring in other Muslim countries to normalization, such as Indonesia and Malaysia. So Israel I think that they need to be cautious for any concessions that actually Saudi Arabia is asking for. And Israel's first concern should be its state security. And the last deal that was made, or the diplomatic relations that were actually restarted between Saudi Arabia and Iran, actually should be a point of cautiousness. I think that the Israelis should be cautious about this deal and not to give too many concessions.
Speaking about the Israelis, it seems like the United States is going to put a lot of pressure on the Israeli government to really clinch a deal right here. What would a deal with Riyadh actually look like?
Well, I think that this government, the current Israeli government, is not going to give any concessions, especially this government, which is looked at internationally as the most right-wing government in the history of Israel. I think they're right, because I personally think that the state of Israel should look at its security first of all. I think a deal will be like a light, we can call it a light form of an Abraham Accords with Saudi Arabia, where actually each country is looking for its own interests. So Saudi Arabia is still looking for to protect itself from Iran. They're still fighting this proxy war in Yemen. I think that Israel is also looking for its security. And the US, which is also going to be part of this deal, needs to protect itself from China. So probably it's going to push away China to have any economic or political deals with Saudi Arabia.
Now, really, moving on to the wider Abraham Accords, you've covered Morocco extensively. Now, Israel recently recognized Moroccan sovereignty over the Western Sahara. What can you tell us more about it?
Well, before the start of the Abraham Accords, that were actually the last country one of the last countries that signed those accords was Morocco. And actually, President Trump at that time was recognized the sovereignty of Morocco over its Sahara, and that was part of the whole deal. It took some time now that the Israelis actually recognized the sovereignty of Morocco over the Sahara, and this actually is through the hard work of our King Mohammed VI and our diplomacy. I think that this is going to be a good start again of these relations, because Morocco was actually waiting for this decision by the Israelis to actually start our. A lot of media actually talked about not having embassies in both countries. So I hope that this is going to be the start of actually having embassies and having greater relationships between the two countries.
It looks amazing, about the relationship with the two countries. Seems like the relations are really flourishing between Israel and Morocco. Can you tell us about some latest collaborations or latest relations between both countries?
Well, what I can tell you is in security and military, there were a lot of collaborations even before the Abraham Accords. But now these things are becoming more public. And also, it's going to be easier for Israeli companies to sell those some of the defense systems to Morocco, because these things are we have agreements now. We have many MOUs. I personally think that there are a lot of MOUs, and usually MOUs are just on paper. But so I think that things need to actually move to action, and we need to get the people together. Of Morocco and Israel.
Sounds positive overall. Yeah. We're going in a good direction. Amit, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Brics economic bloc welcomes new and some controversial members, expanding global influence and raising geopolitical questions.
We have decided to invite the Argentine Republic, the Arab Republic of Egypt, the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates to become full members of Brics. The membership will take effect from the 1st of January 2024.
The Brics economic bloc has revealed plans to welcome Iran, Saudi Arabia, and 4 other countries as new members, expanding its reach beyond its original boundaries. The new additions, which also include the United Arab Emirates, Argentina, Egypt, and Ethiopia, are set to join Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa from next year. Originally established in 2009, Brics emerged as a platform for emerging market economies to amplify their collective voice on the global stage. However, this expansion also raises questions about the influence of China, a dominant player within Brics, on global geopolitics. With rising tensions between China and the United States and Russia faces off with Western nations over the situation in Ukraine, concerns are mounting over whether BRICS might be leaning towards an anti-Western stance.
这次会员也给金砖合作，也是金砖合作的新起点，将给金砖合作机制注入新活力。
Iran's inclusion has generated attention given its complex international relations and the recent uncertainty following the collapse of the 2015 nuclear deal. Yet, officials from the newly included countries have hailed this decision. Mohammad Jamshidi, the political deputy of Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi, hailed the move as a historic victory for Iran's foreign policy. This expansion marks the second time of BRICS enlargement since its inception, as the bloc broadens its scope, including nations that until recently seemed unlikely to join. The geopolitical landscape is set to undergo further shifts.